Hello, welcome back to Figurine Friday with Johnny Tiger on April 28th, 2023. Yes, I did miss Toy Thursday yesterday. I actually got everything set up to do the video, and then I checked the time, and it was almost 10 o'clock in the evening, and I realized that I hadn't even had dinner yet, and so it was like a snap decision on the spot that what do I want to stick to my gun and do the video? Or should I go eat dinner? Well, in the end, I realized if I was to work on the video, by the time I could eat dinner, it would be around midnight and just not very good. And I had a super long day yesterday, a good day, but super long day. Up and running at 7 in the morning. I didn't get through my day until almost uh, 9 or 10 in the evening. Um, so I decided, you know what? I had a long day. I'm going to go eat dinner. Action figure can wait for tomorrow. Hmm. Is that the kind of choice that adults have to make once in a while? I guess so, eh? So anyway, today we are opening the show with a Spider-Man. But this is not your generic Spider-Man. He looks very different. This is one of the more perplexing Spider-Man action figure made by Hasbro. Uh, Supposedly, it's one of Spider-Man's different armored look in one of the video games. Since I don't play any of the Spider-Man video games, I have no idea. But yeah, supposedly this is one of the look in the video game, and I say it's perplexing because number one, no one really wanted this figure. This was like a filler figure people would buy just so they could get their hand on the build a figure body part to complete the figure, the bonus figure they were trying to build. Um, so it's not even that much in demand as a figure go. Uh, but this time, Hasbro didn't even reuse anything. Like this is a completely new sculpt through and through. Like the entire figure is like a completely new uh, body mode. And if you have heard me talk about Hasbro throughout my videos, you know how I feel about Hasbro because Hasbro is so big on reusing the same body, same arms, same legs over and over and over and over. Like some of the Marvel superheroes we've seen from Hasbro, we've seen those body parts like a million times. Uh, so suddenly they decide to make a new body mode, a new sculpt, and it's for a character, a version of a character no one really wanted. This was really perplexing. And then they kind of did it wrong anyway, because this Spider-Man is really big. Like, okay, maybe comparing to the Incredible Hulk, he's not very big, but comparing to how Spider-Man is usually portrayed and drawn and uh, action figure is, this guy is like twice the size of a normal Spider-Man. Now, okay, he is in armor, that I understand, but is that armor supposed to make him this big? I don't know. This is one buff dude. This is more, for me, this is more like Captain America decided to dress up like Spider-Man. Okay, so size is weird. The fact that they decide to put in the money to make a new mold is weird. Uh, so that's sort of one of the reasons I wanted to start the show with this Spider-Man because I don't see myself ever doing an episode just on him because he's such a perplexing, weird, no one really wants this figure. Um, but it's worthwhile talking about him because he's so unique, so weird. Uh, so I decided to use him to open the show, and also because today is National Superhero Day. Now, that would have been very easy, right? Like, if I want to just go by National Superhero Day, I have like over 300 action figures that can fit the bill that I can show you guys today. But I don't want to cheap out on you guys this way, so we'll just use that as a opening, and we'll actually talk about. something else. Because today is also National uh, Biological Clock Day. Now, a lot of time when people talk about biological clock, especially when women talk about biological clock, they're talking about their the age they're at and how that relate to childbirth and stuff like that. But in actuality, biological clock, also called circadian rhythm, is the measurement of time that's determined by the rate of the cells in our body dying off and rejuvenating, dying off and rejuvenating. That is really what uh, constitutes as biological clock in us, human beings, and in animals. This cellular activity, this circadian rhythm biological clock was discovered by three American scientists in 1984. Their name was, let me see if I don't butcher this, Jeffrey C. Hall, Michael W. Young, and Michael Rosbach. Uh, yeah, I think Rosbach is how you pronounce that third one. So Jeffrey, Michael, and Michael, three scientists discovered that our cells actually have this circadian rhythm that they die and then they rejuvenate, they die and they rejuvenate. Uh, there's a set rhythm to them in 1984. Their accomplishment wasn't awarded until 2017, when this day, on April 28th, every year was crowned to be uh, Biological Clock Day, and these three hardworking scientists finally got awarded the Nobel Prize. So every year on April 28th is Biological Clock Day. This is the day when we really should be a little bit more self-aware and think about what's going on in our body. And if you want to have a healthy circadian rhythm, healthy biological clock, it's really not that difficult. All it takes is um, a good routine, going to bed early, get up early, eating at a set time. So basically, you want to have established healthy routine to have established healthy biological clock. And to celebrate our biological clock, today we are going to look at a character, a creature that should be very familiar to most people, especially those of us who are into science fiction and horror movies. Today we are going to look at the alien. Yeah, not just any alien. We are going to look at the alien, the monster from the first, second, third, fourth Alien movie. In particular, this one we're looking at today is taken after the Big Chap alien from the first Alien movie. I believe that was 1989, although I may be mistaken. And the monster that single-handedly slaughtered everyone on the spaceship called Nostromo, and only one person survived and was able to finally kill this creature. We're going to look at the Big Chap alien, the ultimate Big Chap alien from Neca. A version of this action figure was first made by Neca back in 2014, I believe. Uh, And NECA made a lot of aliens and predators action figures back in 2014, 2013 onward. Now, most of those were poorly articulated, easily broken. They looked good, but they were not easy to handle. So now that NECA finally hit their stride and they are able to make super good, super articulated action figures, they went back to the drawing board and took some of their earlier characters and made new versions, new articulated version of them that you can actually mess around with and they won't break. Well, hopefully they won't break. It's not a guarantee. I still have a lot of NECA action figure that break. Um, so NECA, you guys really need to get that breakage thing under control. Your action figures are really good, really expensive, but they a lot of time when I move them from their joints, it's like walking on a landmine or walking through a minefield. Um, but anyway, I digress. So this new version of the Big Chap alien from the first Alien movie was finally re-released by NECA in their Ultimate line in 2020. Now, I myself have like two thoughts about the whole Ultimate toy line. Like the whole idea of, oh, we didn't do it right before. We'll go back and make the same thing over again and just make it more articulated. I think it's great for those people like myself who back in 2013, 2014, I was so poor and I could barely afford anything. A lot of time I could barely afford to eat properly. So I missed the entire early run of NECA Alien and Predator. So that turned out to be like a blessing in disguise, right? Because now I can buy the ultimate version, the new version, which is so much more articulated and better in most every way. So I think for people like me, it's great. But I think for if I was a collector and if I was buying these back then in uh, 2014, around that time, uh, I think I'd be very angry, right? Because one of the things that you do when you buy action figure is you hope that you don't have to spend this money again. If I spend $30 on a Big Chap Alien, I want this to be the Big Chap Alien. I don't really want to have to rebuy another one that looks almost exactly the same 10 years later for $40. So having to buy this again would really piss me off. That's number one. Number two is that a lot of time when we buy action figure, we hope that our action figure will grow in value. So if I buy a Big Chap Alien today and it's no longer being made, and 10 years later I sell it, I can sell it for 10 times the amount that I paid. So that's what a lot of collectors are counting on. But what NECA essentially did here was kind of like a FU in your face to collectors, like well, now the figures you bought back in 2014 they are worthless pretty much because no one's going to want them. They look just like the new one looks just like them, and the new one has better articulation. So you can't sell those old ones and for any kind of appreciable money, and you're kind of screwed. So I feel this practice of, oh, we didn't do it right before, we're going to go back and do it right a second time, and you have to buy a second time. It's a little rapey. Okay, it's a little bit like I'm going to stick it to you, no matter you like it or not. Okay. So anyway, those are my thoughts on this practice of doing the ultimate. Uh, I might be overthinking it, of course, because in the end we are getting newer and better action figures. So maybe I'm the only person who thinks this much on it. Anyway, let's talk about the alien. So just a quick recap for those people that kind of didn't see the first Alien movie and don't might not know what I'm talking about. Right? So basically, it happened in the future. This is like in the future when humans are already exploring space and exploring other planets. So there's a spaceship called Nostromo who was on their way back to Earth, and they picked up a signal from a planet that it was like a abandoned planet. that they picked up a signal coming from this abandoned planet, looked like a distress beacon. And part of their uh, contract with the company they were working for was you got to answer these beacon. You got to go investigate. If you pick up some beacon, maybe someone is in distress, someone needs help. So they went onto this planet, and long story short, I'm trying to keep this as short as I can because this episode might be a bit long, and today I have two videos to do. So long story short, these astronauts went exploring on the planet, looking for the source of the beacon, and they found a bunch of these alien eggs, and one of the eggs split open, and this little crab-like creature jumped out of the egg and attached itself to the face of one of the astronauts. And then his friend brought him back onto the spaceship, and then the little alien grew into big alien, and big alien started killing astronauts, and finally all the astronauts were dead except for Ripley, the one of the female characters, the heroine of the story. Ripley was also an astronaut, and she was finally able to get herself free, escape, and kill the alien. And that should have been the end of the story, but sadly it wasn't. So that's basically the very truncated, very abbreviated version of the first Alien movie. Honestly, guys, like if you haven't seen it today, you you probably should. Like it's one of the classic horror science fiction. Uh, Even if you don't like horror, it's worthwhile watching it just so you know what people are talking about. Um, and even if not, it's good to look at some synopsis and stuff like that to read it. Anyway, so obviously most of that film was centered around this alien that's killing people on the spaceship and an astronaut trying to track it down and kill it before it kills them. And this here in front of the screen is the alien creature seen in the film, realized by Neca in 2020 in the Ultimate Alien line. Standing fully upright, like if you stand this alien fully upright like a human, which they don't really do, it's not supposed to pose like this, but when you stand this fully upright, this alien is about almost 9 inches tall. I think it's like 8.5, oh, very close to 9 inches tall. So it's a big boy, but most of the time it's not going to be posed like that. Like I don't know who in the world would pose the alien like that. Most of the time, the alien is in a more squat down, like animalistic pose. But if you pose this alien properly, thankfully, it is possible because it's very, very well articulated. Like, I can't even think of how I can show all the articulation on camera for this guy, but this alien can do things that aliens don't even do. I mean, there are things that I wish it could do that it can't either. Because in the movie, the aliens are super flexible. They're supposed to be able to like curl themselves up and like totally curl themselves around the pipes or the heating duct and stuff like structures. They're really good at using structures to camouflage themselves. Unfortunately, this action figure, while it's very articulated, it's not that articulated. It can't really curl up properly because, in the end, it is hard plastic, not organic flesh, right? So we got to be reasonable. So anyway, squatting down, it is roughly 8 inches tall. It can go a lot lower, I think. You can get it to some much lower stances. But yeah, it is a big boy comparing to your average human size, no matter if it's 6 inch or 7 inch figure. It is a large, imposing monster. And yeah, here on the screen, I hope you guys can see this. I got him crouched down on like a 3 point stand, uh, with one hand to the floor. So yeah, he is able to get himself really, really small. He, like I said, he can't really curl up properly, but uh, it's pretty close. It's pretty close. I think really what's limiting him is the waist articulation doesn't allow him to crunch forward very much, and the general shape of the head doesn't allow very good head movement, unfortunately. But otherwise, this figure can get into some really silly poses. You want your alien to get into a ballet move? He can totally do that. You want a kickboxing alien? You can have a kickboxing alien. Like I said, it's articulated enough for you to get it into all kinds of wacky poses. And the thing is, we don't really need this much articulation. I mean, having them there is good, but honestly, in the movie, you don't really see the alien doing anything other than suddenly jumping out of the shadow, and then you see like teeth and claws, and then spewing acids, and then someone is dead and then someone is gone and stuff like that. So you don't really see a lot of action, like poses from the alien. Uh, but the articulation, the joints are there if you are so inclined. The alien also has a super long articulated tail that has bendy wire on the inside, so you can pose the tail however you like. The texture on the tail is like super creepy. It feels like spinal column rather than tail. Uh, in fact, this alien actually it's so nostalgic for me because it brings me back to 1992 when I first came across an alien action figure. Growing up in Taiwan, I had no idea what the whole Alien versus Predator movies and stuff like that were. Like, I was not aware of these creatures until I was on a trip to Hong Kong with my mom, and we came across these alien action figures. Back then, was made by Kenner, and we came across them in a toy store in Hong Kong. And I had no idea what they were. My mom had no idea what they were, and but she knew that I loved weird monsters and creatures, so she bought them. And then that night, when I opened and felt that my first ever alien action figure in my hand, we were in the hotel room. I was just so intrigued. Like this was unlike anything, anything that I've ever uh, uh, explored or came across before. It wasn't a werewolf, it wasn't a vampire, it wasn't a zombie, it wasn't it wasn't a dragon, it wasn't a giant shark. What was this? The alien ticks all the boxes. It checked all the boxes of what makes something creepy and scary. It has a elongated, skinny, skeletal look that sort of right away make you think of spiders or something that have a really long legs and long arms. And its outer shell has this human skeleton look to it that again it makes you think of skeleton and scary horror stuff. Uh, and a lot of the features on the alien just make you think it's something slimy with sharp teeth and sharp fangs, and it just so well so alien. And so ever since then, I was kind of captivated by aliens creature design. So having this ultimate version in hand so many years later, it brings me back to that day when I first came across an alien action figure. And this one is so much better in every single way, of course. A lot bigger, um, a lot more textured, and so on and so on. Now, one of the key feature, really crazy thing about the alien creatures, they're actually called xenomorphs, but I'm just going to keep on calling on aliens. Uh, but uh, about aliens is they have a second set of jaws that come out from their mouth like a super long tongue with teeth on it. Like, can you just imagine that you are fighting one of these creatures and you think it's too far away from you to bite you, and suddenly this secondary set of teeth shoot out from its mouth and smash it through your head and kill you. And you even tell the moment you die, you're like, what the hell happened? So yeah, this action figure also have that feature. If you open the alien's mouth, you can extend its tongue and inner jaw out. It doesn't come out very far, only about an inch, but it's there. I'm not quite sure, how far are they supposed to come out really. I mean, considering the size of its head, I kind of always think that maybe the tongue should be about as long as the head is. The alien creature has this really weirdly shaped head that is, some people say it's a sort of symbology to a male penis. But we won't go there. But it got a lot of teeth and got tubes on the side of its neck. I think it doesn't have eyes. And uh, the top of the head has this translucent dome, like a shell over it, and inside the shell you can see what looks like a human skull. It's just like a really horrifying, weird design. And on the back of the alien, you can see five fins, tubes, I don't know what those things are for, sticking out of its shoulder blade. Maybe they are supposed to be like residual arms that uh, evolution took away in the end. Maybe they used to have more arms. I don't know. And on the alien's elbow, there are little sharp spikes or fins. They kind of look like fins. So maybe these creatures are very aquatic, a very good swimmer as well. Now, like I said, this figure was released first in 2014, and then the new Ultimate version was released in 2020. Comparing to the old version, they look very similar, almost identical, but the new version has more of a gray, brown wash over the black carapace of the alien. The old one, the head was more translucent, so you could see inside the shell better. The new one is a little bit darker. The old one also have uh, more silver, metallic-looking nail and teeth, and the new one is not quite as metallic-looking. So some people prefer the look of the old one, but as far as coming to posing and display, the new one definitely is better. And this is not just it. This is not the only thing. That this new one, being a big, beastie monster action figure, well articulated, but it also comes packed with the entire life cycle of an alien creature. This is also why I want to show the alien today. You see, most of the alien's purpose is procreation. If you watch the Alien movie, one, two, three, four, whichever Alien movie, if you read the Alien comic, if you know these aliens, you know that these aliens, their only purpose is to procreate, to protect their queen, so the queen can lay more eggs and can have more aliens. So they are very ruthless. They are very determined to achieve that goal. Their entire life evolved around that biological clock, is to have offspring. So that's why I think the alien is a great pick for biological clock day, and also because this alien comes with all the different stages of an alien's life, and I think that is a good symbology of biological clock. So let's take a look at the different stages of an alien's life. First, when an alien is cultivating an area, getting it ready for procreation, for breeding, uh, it secretes this kind of like almost like a super spider silk on steroid. This slimy, ropey, tentacle-looking stuff, and eventually it will coat the walls, the ceilings, the floor. Everything is coated in this ropey, slimy thing before it starts to lay egg. Uh, so here uh, we have a little base that is look like simulates this ropey tentacle looking material. After making the nest, the alien will hunt down other life forms, usually human, in this case Spider-Man, and after catching the human, the alien will immobilize them by injecting them with a kind of venom that makes them paralyzed. And then they'll drag the human back to the nest and use their super slimy silk or whatever this thing is, and they will put them inside a cocoon and stick them to the wall of their nest. And this is for later. This is not food. Okay, this is for hosting their parasitic young. The queen alien, which I actually don't have a figure of. I wish I did. I uh, I totally missed out on the Queen Alien action figure, but they were really big and really expensive, like $200 figures. Uh, but anyway, the Queen Alien lays the egg in the nest, and these eggs are not like your regular chicken eggs, duck eggs. These eggs are in themselves kind of a organism because they are able to stay dormant for hundreds of years until they get triggered by a living creature, whether the prisoner that the alien stuck to the wall in the cocoon or someone who's nosy like Spider-Man who might be coming to investigate. Hmm, I heard that there's some strange goings on in the city. I want to come and see. Ooh, what is that? A giant egg. Yeah. So the egg waits for someone nosy to come poking around. When it senses a prospective host, the top of the egg springs open like a flower. And from this scary, monstrous egg flower thing comes a little horrifying creature that looked like some kind of a spider crab with a lot of legs and really long spiny tail. This creature, often referred to as a facehugger, will then jump towards the prey, the prisoner, or whoever that's nearby, and try to latch onto their face. Once the creature gets onto Spider-Man's face, like this, it wraps its super powerful tail around Spider-Man's neck, And something very horrifying happens. The creature inserts a tube down Spider-Man's throat through Spider-Man's mouth and impregnates him, well, in a fashion. So all those long, spindly legs will wrap themselves around his head, and the tail wrap around his neck, so you can't pull it off. Any attempt to remove the creature from the person may result in the creature pulling the person's face entirely off of their their skull. So the creature secures itself on the person's face, inserts a tube down the person's throat, and deposit a secondary egg into the person's body. And this creature will stay attached to the person's face for quite a while before suddenly falling off dead. At this point, the person who has been impregnated can function as if they were normal. The whole thing just seemed like a bad nightmare. Now the creature that violated them is dead on the floor, just like a dead crab. So everything's fine now, right? Well, not so much, because that little egg that is deposited into the person is growing inside the chest cavity. And when the time is right, a new creature bursts out of their chest, usually, well, killing the victim in the process. This newborn creature is pretty small, uh, like the size of a lizard, and it's shaped a lot like a snake. It's long and got really sharp teeth, and it moves super, super fast. And the moment it comes bursting out of the person's chest, uh, which gives it the nickname chestburster, uh, the moment it come out, the chestburster will try to run away. It will go up into the air duct or go into the wall or go somewhere that you can't follow. You need to catch it. If you don't catch it, then within a short few hours, it start to grow. And within a day or two, maybe shorter, it turned into the alien creature that we have been looking at for the entirety of this episode. And then the newborn, the big alien, the adult alien, now go on to look for more victims, and the whole vicious cycle repeats, and more aliens are born. So as I said, this alien, even though it's big and impressive, it's not the only thing that comes in the box. It comes with slime, nest base material, the egg, the face hugger, and then the chest burster. So in one box, you get the entire life story of an alien. You get the entire alien's biological clock. In another word. I hope that you guys enjoyed this episode. It's definitely a lot of fun to mess around with this figure and all the stuff that he come with, and it's fun to torture Spider-Man as well. Um, I will be back shortly for some Fitness Friday video. For now, have a good day.